I'm John Cavanagh. At the moment, I'm speaking to you from Studio 5 at the BBC in Pacific Key, where I make music programmes. Sometimes I read the news, sometimes I do voiceovers, and sometimes I produce things as well, so I kind of get around.
Joe Meek's work and Joe Meek's personal life are inextricably bound up together. Joe Meek was a pretty crazy guy.
Joe was a person who you could love and hate equally. And I did. Both.
I first heard about the film that's now appeared as A Life in the Death of Joe Meek about maybe 4 years ago, when the people from Palme d'Or Films, Howard Berger and Susan Starman, got in touch with me and asked if I'd like to contribute to this. I would like to think that they wanted me to come along because of my vast knowledge of Joe Meek, but I suspect the truth is that they wanted to come and shoot some film of me talking about him because I have one of the bits of studio equipment that survived from his Holloway Road studio in the 60s, an old Ampex tape machine which appears in the film, and I suspect they travelled more distance to see the Ampex than they did to see me. When Meek started out making recordings, he was there in a climate where the idea was to capture something close to a live performance. Part of that was because nobody had tried before really to take things into new levels. You couldn't multi-track because you had to record direct onto discs. Tape recorders were something new, and tape recorders were feared by the Musicians' Union and other bodies because they thought that if you could record things, it would kill live music and a business for their members. So that was all completely new. Joe Meek was known as quite a capricious character. He could be a lovely guy to be around, but he had fits of temper, and he would fire off very easily in the studio. And if something was not going well, or if he thought people were maybe not being complete pros and were just mucking about over a take, he could really lose it very quickly. Now, his house band almost were the Tornadoes. Before they made Telstar, they'd been the backing band for Billy Fury on the road. And the drummer of the Tornadoes, Clem Cattini, was a top session drummer for many, many years. He played on things like Shakin' All Over by Johnny Kidd and the Pirates, even before John Layton's Johnny Remember Me, which he played drums on. So he was the house drummer. But even with Clem, Joe was likely to lose his temper. And one day there was some screaming tirade in the studio, and Joe had just bought this very expensive Ampex tape machine, and Clem knew there was something going to be hurled after him, so he bolted for the stairs at Holloway Road. The studio was upstairs, it was off the main street above a leather goods shop. And so here's Clem dashing down the stairs to get away from the wrath of Meek, and something goes bumpety bumpety bump down the stairs behind him, and it's the Ampex. And it has really quite heavy gauge steel panel in the front, and it's got a big dent at the bottom. And when I got it at first, it needed some belts and some restoration to make things run again. And I took it to an engineer that I know, and he said, "Oh, I could fix the dent in the front." "Don't do that! Don't do that! The dent's got to stay. It's part of rock and roll history." I'm looking forward to introducing the film. I think that the people who've presented films at Monorail Film Nights before have an advantage on me, which is that they've seen the films they're talking about. They can go up there and say, "I love this film because I have an advantage over them because it's a UK premiere," and that's, well, we're not all going to be wearing our dicky bow ties and tails, but still, it's a bit of an event, isn't it? It'd be great fun.